Hi, I'm Colm Gavin. I'm a singer-songwriter currently signed to BEO Records, and I'm presently based in Dublin, Ireland, and I'm delighted to be the featured guest on this week's GE Request show.
Thank you so much, everyone. You're amazing. Come on, make some noise. All right, coming up on the show, my next guest, singer-songwriter. Please let me welcome Colm Gavin, everybody. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, my friend?
Good to see you.
Good to have you see. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Good to see you, man.
Good play to you. Good to see you.
And I'm so glad your mom came here as well.
Yeah, mom's in the front row.
That's it. Come on, give some Dublin money, everybody. That's wonderful. I'm so glad. This is, I think, for 2023. This is the first year we're really bringing, singers to our show. So
yeah,
we're so happy to have yourself and have Emma here as well. So great stuff. So, Colm, let's get into you from Dublin, are you?
Sure am. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, when did you start to see music as a thing you want to do?
I was always interested with the idea that you could write songs and make a living out of it.
Absolutely.
So from the time I was about 10 or 11, I found the music of people like Neil Young and Bob Dylan. And then later on, people like Jim Croce and Harry Chapin, a lot of the great American singer-songwriters of the 60s and 70s. So that was a huge influence.
Yeah. And what kind of song would you actually portray out there?
To simplify what I do, it's kind of storyteller type stuff. So again, like I referenced Jim Croce and Harry Chapin, and while it's always difficult to categorize what you do, if I was to give you someone who was similar to you, that's probably the kind of that style of songwriting, storytelling, I suppose.
Yeah, and in your kind of song, because your song tells about your story, your journey, and things you do. What are the things that you've experienced, in terms of you writing your songs, telling the story? What would that be for you?
Well, sometimes the narrative doesn't relate to me. So if you take a songwriter like Randy Newman, sometimes he speaks through the guise of somebody else from a different perspective. So I remember hearing songs like Louisiana, 1927, and he's talking about the Great Flood of 1927.
Yeah.
He didn't live through that.
No.
So it's very hard to speak about that from a personal perspective, but yet when you hear it, it's just a very pretty melody, and you're not, as he says, when you're doing 100 miles an hour down the freeway, you don't necessarily notice irony.
That's the truth. That's the truth. It's been a long time I heard that word, but I'm glad you brought it back,
Yeah.
That was so good. So, like what you said, it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to be in the story for you to tell the story.
For sure, yeah.
But for the fact that you have the knowledge about it, to actually sit down and capitalize it and talk about it, that's the real thing, So, do you regularly gigs, or how do you go to gig? How do you really, get yourself into this wide scale when it comes to the music industry here in Ireland?
Yeah, I do. I gig regularly, but like I write for other artists too. One good example of that, Charlie McGettigan, who's one of our great songwriters, is someone who I've collaborated with quite a bit. And someone who's very popular in the country music scene, Claudia Buckley. She, for 2 years in a row, has been Hot Country's Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
Like she's only in her mid-20s and has already set herself apart as somebody who will, down throughout the ages, we'll be talking about her. She's just someone who radiates that. In country music especially, there's great individuals: Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Tammy Wynette, and I think you recognise a great one when you see one.
Absolutely.
As from my perspective, it's always brilliant to be working with very talented people. But yeah, I gig a lot. I'm lucky that the work that I do brings me all around the world. I've toured through the United States and up and down the length and breadth of the country. So
absolutely wonderful, wonderful. Are you ready to hear what Colm had for us?
Yeah.
Before we do so, Colm, I know your mom is here.
Yeah.
You go to gigs, you play all your kind of music and stuff. Have you ever kind of collaborate with someone else, or are you just fully solo? Are you signed up with someone, or you're just working on your own, or how are you working around that?
So I'm signed to a record label called BEO Records, as I mentioned in the introduction.
Yeah.
And they've been wonderful. So people will know Clonid, Moya Brennan is the lead singer of Clonid.
Okay.
This is her record label. So her husband Tim Jarvis operates with regards to putting out her releases and stuff, and he does the same thing for me. And so I'm signed to BEO Records, but also, like I mentioned, collaborating with people like Charlie McGettigan and Claudia and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's something that I didn't do until I was into my late 20s, but the reward has been huge.
Amazing.
Very gratifying.
We just can't wait for us to hear what you have to, sing for us on the show. So stay with us. So we're gonna run a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna have Colm Gavin to give us some big thrill of his journey. We'll be right back. Come on, show some love, everybody. Thank you.
So I'm Colm Gavin. The song that I'm going to sing is called Song for Sam. And my biggest influences will be people like Randy Newman, Harry Chapin, storytellers, Jim Croce, that kind of thing. And this song that I'm going to play is very much inspired by that kind of style of songwriting. Little man, my wide-eyed boy, for you the whole world's new. Every day's a trip on a Ferris wheel or a picnic at the zoo. I don't know much of aeroplanes or the old man on the moon, but I can sing of all the things I've seen, and I wrote this just for you. And no, I thank you for that laughter can cure a winter's cold, and money never grows on trees. Each morning, go and chase the dreams you dream up every night. And no matter what you do, you find your mother's always right. And like the cheerful old folks say, count your blessings every day. Be kind to those that need it most, and that means everyone. Be sure to look before you leap in case your shoelace is undone. I hope you find the kind of friends that make the days go by so fast. And when the time comes, find the perfect words to ask your first true love to dance. And all the winter people say, have a jolly holiday, whether it's Kwanzaa, Passover, or day one at the Kentucky Derby. I was never all that good in school, but one thing I know is true. No matter how many big books I read, I'll never be as smart as you. I can hold you now, but not for long, 'cause the years roll by so soon. No matter what you might grow up to be, I'll always be so proud of you.
Woo, come on. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Well done, my friend.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Thank you. One more time. Thank you, everybody.